So Street Fighter 6 has just had its latest reveal trailer at the latest PlayStation State of Play, and it looks fantastic. I love them graffiti visuals, kinda tickles the good part of my little ape brain over here. And it really looks like they've taken all the criticism from Street Fighter 5 on board and really done a lot to improve the game. They showed off World Tour mode, which is an immersive single player mode which Street Fighter 5 lacked on release and was subject of widespread criticism, especially by me. I will never let you forget that, Capcom. A new and seemingly complex battle system in the form of the drive gauge, which seems to just be the V gauge from Street Fighter 5 but fully realized and made to not be a total piece of shit. This was also the subject of widespread criticism because Street Fighter 5 wasn't complex enough. You see all the shit they're doing in the trailer? How's that for complexity, alright? Elitist. But with new complexities often comes the cry to simplify said complexity. And how do you simplify a fighting game without watering it down and making it too easy or too casual? Developers have tried to do this in the past, and to their credit, developers here and there are making strides in order to simplify complex fighting games to make it easier for newcomers to enter into it. The easiest way to simplify a fighting game is by simplifying the art of the motion input. Now, if you're watching a video about Street Fighter 6, you already know what a motion input is, but if you don't, motion inputs refer to having to input multiple directional inputs with the joystick in order to execute a move. The most common and well known of these inputs is the quarter circle forward, or the Hadouken input. By moving the stick in a quarter circle forward motion and pressing an attack button, depending on the character, they will perform what is commonly called a special move. For a character like Ryu, this will perform his signature Hadouken move, hence the name. While a quarter circle forward input seems simple enough for a new player, it's important to remember that not every character will utilize this input, and some characters will utilize inputs that are far more difficult for a newer player to perform, but also a lot more rewarding for them as well. One of the biggest new player killers is the Z motion, referred to as the Dragon Punch input, or shortened to DP. The DP involves first inputting the forward direction, then inputting down, then down forward, and then the attack button. While for a fighting game veteran, the DP input comes about as naturally as breathing does, for a new player this can seem really confusing.
How am I meant to press forward, then down forward in a quick enough time frame, so the game even knows I want to do that move?
The unfortunate answer to this is one a lot of casual players might not want to hear, and that is practice. Fighting games are hard work, and to get really good at them requires a lot of practice. This raises 2 points, however. Casual players either A, don't want to put in the time to practice, or B, don't have enough time to practice to get good. When you get home from work and you just want to play a video game, the last thing you want to do is hop into training mode and practice for hours on end with what little free time you might have how to do a DP motion. No, the first thing you want to do is hop in online and try and fight other players and get good. You then immediately want to stop playing because you get paired up with somebody who in your eyes has totally mastered their character, your inferiority complex starts to set in, and then you just stop playing the game altogether and go do something else. This is where Street Fighter 6 comes in. Remember, this is a video about Street Fighter 6, alright? Fucking wake up! On the Street Fighter 6 website, there's a whole tab dedicated to what they're calling Modern Control Scheme. In the Modern Control Scheme, motion inputs are completely discarded in favor of 1-button special moves. The traditional 6-button layout is reduced to 3, and they're introducing what they call assisted combos, in which players can pull off combos with relative ease, and it makes them feel good because they look really cool. It's even described on the website as perfect for players who don't want to practice all day with their motion inputs and just want to hop in and play the game. This greatly simplifies the control scheme and both makes it more accessible and more appealing for new and casual players. With the modern control scheme, players don't have to work as hard to achieve results, and they can feel good knowing that they at least have now a fighting chance against their opponents. They can be more effective in their matches now by being able to pull off special moves with relative ease, and they can perform combos that both look cool and make them feel really good. The old control scheme is still there, now called Classic Mode, and it's just how you remember it. 6 buttons, motion inputs, everything you want. So why would anyone even consider Classic Mode? Modern Mode seems to have a lot more advantages over Classic Mode, as you can input special moves a lot easier, you can do combos with relative ease, and it simplifies the game to a point where anyone can really pick it up and play. People will prefer Classic Mode as it will likely allow for more freedom in your gameplay. I say likely because we don't really know the entire way that Modern Mode would work just yet, but we can speculate. I've been saying it's been reduced to a 3-button layout when it's so very obviously 4, but I'm not counting the special move button because it's my video, I like the number 3. What stands out immediately to me with the new modern control scheme is that the 6-button layout only has 3 buttons now labeled light, medium, and heavy attack, instead of the traditional light punch and light kick, medium punch and medium kick, and heavy punch. There's a lot of variety to be had when you have access to all 6 buttons, and it gives you a lot of options to respond with when you're playing. With modern controls, it isn't exactly clear which light, medium, and heavy attacks you get access to. Let's say you're in this situation. You're Ryu, and you're fighting Chun-Li. You are this far apart from her, and in this scenario, both crouching medium punch and crouching medium kick will connect, allowing you to cancel into a combo that can do a lot of damage. In this scenario, it does not matter which medium you have access to. Due to the distance between you and Chun-Li being so close, both are guaranteed to hit. Let's say you're now this far apart from Chun-Li. Crouching medium punch will not connect, which can leave you very open to being punished by her. But crouching medium kick will connect, and while you won't be able to do a big combo like before, and some combos only if you have meter, regardless you will hit Chun-Li, and this can give you some breathing room to back up and recompose, or can even be the round winner. If players don't have access to crouching medium kick, they will miss out on these types of opportunities to capitalize on, and make it harder for them to win as they can't perform with only 3 buttons what other players can with 6. This then brings up the idea of an adaptive 3-button system, where the game will measure some sort of variable in order to determine which attack you get. But then how will it even begin to determine which attack to use? Distance, if the player using modern controls is at plus or minus, or whether or not their opponent is plus or minus. And if it does measure which one to use based on being plus or minus, new players will then be pushed to learn frame data, which at that point you might as well just be using classic mode. Okay, so maybe that's a downside to modern mode, but at least I have 1-button special moves, which allows me to do special moves a lot faster than you can, and with no downside whatsoever, right? Yes and no. Special moves can also change certain properties of the move depending on the strength of it. A light Hadouken will travel slowly, while a heavy Hadouken will travel really fast. A slow moving projectile sounds bad on paper, but in gameplay it can allow you to actually close the distance on your opponent, by having them have to respond to not only you gaining distance on them, but the fireball creeping towards them. His DP also gets different properties depending on which one you perform, which is extremely important as the DP is invincible to certain attacks depending on the strength used. Light DP will make you invincible to throws, medium DPs will be invincible to air attacks, and heavy DPs are invincible to hits in certain scenarios. If modern mode players are restricted to only the light or only the heavy variations of moves, they miss out on the special properties these variations have, in addition to heavy special moves being wildly unsafe to just throw out there, leaving you wide open to be punished if it doesn't land. This gets even more complicated when you consider some special moves change properties more than just strength and speed. I know he won't be in Street Fighter 6, I miss him already, but let's look at Urien and his Metallic Sphere special move. With his light and medium variations, they function as you would assume. Light is slow and medium is fast. The heavy variation, however, is a lot different, as instead of travelling across the screen like a normal fireball would, this one travels upwards into the air. This can catch opponents in the air and is a valuable tool in Urien's arsenal. You can't even put forth the idea that you can map this to one of the special move directions, because then you'll lose one of Urien's special moves for a second fireball, and even then, which move do you sacrifice? This gets even muddier when you consider characters with more than 4 special moves, which has already affected Ryu, as they've shown off 2 new moves for him on Twitter, but on the website they only show Ryu having access to Hadouken, Tatsumaki Senpukyak, Shoryuken, and the High Blade Kick. So how does Ryu get access to these 2 new moves? Does he just miss out on these now? This has actually been confirmed as of making this video, as at Summer Games Fest, people got their hands on Street Fighter 6 for the first time, and someone was kind enough to record the move list for Ryu in modern mode, and sure enough, these 2 new moves are not there. So modern mode players only get access to 4 moves, and that's it. So the more I talk about it, the more restrictive modern mode seems to feel. But remember, this is a lot of speculation, so we don't know how it works in its entirety. I have a friend that I've played Street Fighter 5 with in the past, and while I brought up the idea of modern control scheme and all the limitations and the restrictive nature of it, he said something that really opened my mind. He looked at me, he laughed a little, and he said with a straight face, "I don't care about all that. I just want to play the game." And you know what? He's right. He's totally fucking right. Casual players don't give a shit about the deep intricacies of fighting games. They don't care about missing out on all the options they can respond to situations with. They don't care about losing out on the variations of special moves. They just want to be able to actually do the special move to begin with. They don't care about fireball strength and speed. They don't care about the distance of a Tatsumaki. They don't care about the different types of invincibility you get on different DPs. No, that's the whole point of the modern mode. They don't care about all that. They just want to hop in, press a couple of buttons, and have a good time because they looked cool doing it. They don't want to spend hours and hours of practicing just to be able to do one Shoryuken. No, and that's okay. That is totally okay. When I first saw modern mode be revealed, I immediately thought, oh, the elitists aren't gonna like this one. And you know what? The elitists still can play the game they want to play it. There's a whole generation of people out there who want to play Street Fighter V, and they want to play fighting games, but the complexity of it is too daunting, and it's too terrifying to get into. There is nothing wrong with giving players an easier way to play the game, and giving them a more gradual ease into this whole genre. More casual players will grow the player base, and when you have more players playing, that's a fantastic thing. Fighting games have always been viewed as a very niche, very difficult to get into, and only for the people who really want to take it seriously. By giving players new ways to enjoy the game without feeling overwhelmed, it'll gradually ease them into playing and progress them to a point where they feel like they have outlived modern mode, and they say to themselves, I want more out of this game. And the more they want is in classic mode, but until they're ready for that, they have modern mode. The more they want is understanding frame data, understanding spacing, and understanding all the intricacies that come with it. But until they're ready to cross that barrier, they can just enjoy the game in a simple, easy fashion and make sure that they have a fun time doing it. Alright dude, that's kind of cool. You talked for like 20 minutes about how modern mode is bad, and then fucking pulled a rabbit out of my ass at the end and said modern mode is actually really good. What is the point of your video? The point is, stop gatekeeping my fucking fighting game!
Your life is nothing. You serve zero purpose. You should kill yourself now and give somebody else a piece of that oxygen and ozone layer